Hello everyone, in this video we will do an introduction about C++. So first of all, I want you to know that C++ is one of the object-oriented programming language, which means that we can use functions, structures or classes to make our project more easier, more faster and with less lines of code. So for every language programming we need to use an IDE, which means integrated development environment. So for C++ we can use dev C++ or code blocks, and after my experience I think that Visual Studio is the best software that we can use for C++. But like a beginner, you can use any of this programming language. So I will let the links below this video so that you can download it and install it for free. So thanks for watching and I see you in the next video. Peace. Hello again. In this video we will talk about data in and data out in C++. Now, as we know, when we debug our program, we see the results in the command window. Now the question is, what should we do if we want to enter, or if we say write or read something from this command window? Which means if the user want to enter data or we want to write data, what should we do? So we will talk about this in this simple example, so stay with us. So as we said, we will print something in the command window. So for this work we need to use the syntax COUT. Out for printing, okay? Then we need to add two brackets. Then here we can write what we want to print. For example, if we want to print a word or sentence or text, something like this, we just need to make this two quotation marks. Then we write what we want here. For example, hello world. Okay, hello world, we want to print it in the command window. Then we add the semicolon as we said. Now if we debug our program, we will see hello world here. Okay, now preferably we need to add here two brackets and line. End line means that this line is ended and go to another line. If we have another things to print or to write, or I don't know, preferably we need to add this syntax. Then if we have, for example, a variable int, for example var equal to 4, and we want to print this value, the value of this variable, what should we do? We need just to write the name of the variable. So cout var and semicolons. If we do this, we will write the value of this variable. Okay, now we will have 4. Okay, now if we want to read something from the command window, which means if the user want to enter something to our program, then we calculate it, or I don't know. Now the syntax for this is CIN for something that will enter to our program. Okay, then two in brackets. Here we can write, here it is not the same thing like the cout, but here we can write the name of the variable that will take the value of the item, or I don't know, or something that we will write it in the command window. For example, if we have here, if we want to, for example, the user will enter a value 4, 2, 3, I don't know, then we want to use this value. Before this we need to save it in a variable. So first we will how can we say it? We will declare a variable here, int, for example, var, as we said, and semicolons. We don't give it a value. For this example, we want to give it a value. Then here we will make CIN, as we said, then two brackets. Here we write the name of the value that will take the variable that will take the value. So here we write var. Then if we debug our program, we will see the cursor here waiting the user that he entered the value that we want. For example, we will make it 4. Okay, then here the value 4 is saved in our value. If we want, for example, to see if isn't works or no, we will make COUT here, then the variable, sorry. So if we debug our program, we will give it a value, for example 22. Then we will see 22 because the second 22 it is for this COUT because we want to print it. Okay, then I think that this is it for today for CIN and COUT. So I see you in the next video. Peace out. Hello again. In this video we will talk about variables in C++. So in this video we will use Visual Studio, but you can use whatever software you want. Before that we start, we should know what is variables and why do we use it. So variables are defined by three important things: type, name, and value. For the types, we have a lot of types. In C++ we can say there is int for integer, float and double for real numbers, and we have char for characters, we have strings, and we have booleans. Booleans, it takes the value false or true. We will talk about it later. Then we have another subtypes that we can talk about it later, not now. And now we will do an example to answer the question, why do we use variables? So stay with us. Here we have our main program. So as we said, a variable is defined by his name, his type, his name, and his value. So in this example we will define, for example, an integer. So an integer is defined by type, as we said, int for integer, and then we will make a space, then we write the name of our variable. This is name type, the name of the type. Then we have the name of the variable. This is our name. For example, we will make it variable for like name for our variable. It works. We can make whatever we want. So I just choose variable, but we can use whatever we want. Then we have to write our value, for example 7, or I don't know, we can write whatever we want. Then we can delete this. We can just write the name, the type, and the name without giving a value. It works too, but preferably we need to initialize our variable with value. I don't know, for example 0 and 1, 2, whatever we want. So for example we will give it the value 0. Then if we want to initialize another variable like a character, so for a character we need to write char, then the name. For example, I give my variable name the value name. I can give it, you can give it whatever you want. You can make I don't know, whatever you want. So I give this the name So after that we have to give it the value. A value of a character is defined by one character, because character is for one character. We can't make the value of type name character like name, I don't know, for 2 or 3 or I don't know characters. We can't. We have to make just one character. So to write the value of a character, we need to write an apostrophe, then the value of our the value of our variable will be written inside these two apostrophes. So for example, we'll give it the value a. The variable character name will have the value a. So we need to add our semicolons, of course, to don't have the errors. Every line of program in C++ ends with semicolons. We need to know this. Every line of code in C++ will end with semicolons. Then if we want to define a variable of with the type float or double, same thing. We just need to write the type name, then the name, for example, name, I don't know, name float, which mean f for float, then equal, and we give it the value, for example, 1.2, for example. Same thing for doubles, double name d, what is this, name d equal, for example, 2.5. The same thing if we want to initialize a boolean, we would just write bool, then the name, the variable name, for example, I don't know, bool name. So equal, we as we said, the booleans have just two values, just true or false. True or false. They don't have another values. So we will give it, for example, the value false, then semicolons. So the question is, why do we have to use these variables? Is it importantly to use it in our programs? I think that yes, we can't have a program without variables. I will give you just a simple example. I don't think that you will see the difference between with variables or without variables, but I think that I can give you just a simple idea. So if we have a student that have 2 marks and we want to calculate the average of this student, for example, he has the first mark 12 and mark 13, and we want to calculate the average of this student. How can we calculate it? Just 12 plus 13 divided by 2. So first of all, we need to have memory that will take the value of the average. So this memory we will make it like a variable. So we will make it like integer average equal. Now if we have, as we said, we have 12 and 13, so we will make the parentheses 12 plus 13 divided by 2, semicolon. So like this we have calculated the average of this student. Then if we want to calculate the average of another student, then we have to change the value of the mark 1, then the value of the mark 2. But if we have a program with thousands or just hundreds of lines of code, 100 lines of code, then we have this equation in the line number, I don't know, 115, I don't know. Then we need to change these two variables. I mean, we want to change the marks of the student. Then we have to search for this equation, then we change the value, and if we want to change it another time, always we need to search this equation, then we change the values. But this is not professional program, you know. So for this problem we need to define two variables that will take the value of these two marks. For example, for the mark 12, we will make mark 1, for example, and for the mark 13 we will make it mark 2. Then we have mark 1 and mark 2 divided by 2. Like this, we have a unique equation for all students. For all students we have this equation. So what we have to do now, just we have to define the variables that have the value of mark 1 and mark 2. So we will make it like an integer mark 1 equal 12, as we said, integer mark 2 equal 13, semicolon. So mark I forget the one here. So mark 1, mark 2. Then if we have lines of code, for example, I don't know, we have something here, then we want to change the value of these marks and have a new average. We don't have to search this equation, then change it, then calculate it. So we need just go to the program, and in the beginning of the program we have to define these marks or these variables. Then we change it just here, for example 14, I don't know, here 16, like this. We will have a new average for a new student, and so on. Then I think that this is the principle of the variables. We can use it everywhere. We can't have a program without variables. So this was just simple example that we can use variables, but we have a lot of examples that can use variables in our programs. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Peace. Hello everyone. In this video we will talk about arrays in C++. So as we know, the word array means group of items. The same thing in programming. An array is a group of variables, because variables are items in programming. Okay? So in C++, when we say an array, means group of variables with same type name. Okay? We can't mix in one array. We can't mix type names. For example, we can't make an array with one integer, one character, one string, one boolean, for example. We can't do this. In Python, for example, we can do this. We can mix the type names in the same array. But in C++, we can't do this. So we will do some examples to make it more clear. So stay with us. So as we said, an array is in C++ is a group of elements. Okay. In this example, we will take an array of integers. Then the syntax of an array is written like this. We have to write the type first. The type, we said that we will take integers, so int for integers. Then the name of this array, we'll take it, for example, type. Then we have to write two brackets. Between these two brackets, we need to write the size of this array, the size or the number of the elements. Okay, elements of or items. So we will make, for example, 3 elements. Then we write equal. After equal, we will give what is these items, but we need to write it between these two brackets. Okay, for example, we will make it 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we have to add this semicolon, as we said. Here we have an array with 3 elements, element 1, element 2, element 3, but the indexes of the array is the index 0, the index 2, the index 1, the index 2, sorry. If we want, for example, to print out this element is index is 0, then 1, then 2. Okay, we can write just like this without adding the elements. This is an empty array. we can write it like this. Then we can fill it up by writing, for example, type 0, which means the index 0 of the array equal, for example, 1 semicolon. Here we have made the value 1 inside the array in the index number 0. Then if we want to make it the same thing for the index 1, we will write like this: type 1 equal 2, for example. Then the index 2, type 2 equal 3, for example. Here we have fill up our array with the value 1, 2 and 3. Then if we want to print it, for example, if we want to print these items, we just write COUT, then the brackets, then type, for example, 0, then and line. Okay. It doesn't work here because we didn't add the namespace using namespace std semicolon. If we don't add this line using namespace std, which means we didn't define the namespace that we are working on, this, for example, this syntax cout, it doesn't work here. Okay. Now if we debug our program, we will see here 1 is the value in the index 0 in our array. Same thing, or if we write here the index 1, index 2. Okay, so this is the video before that we are talking about the arrays. We will talk about something else in the next video, and I see you. Peace out. Hello again. In this video we will talk about if statements. So if we have two statements and we want to compare between it, then we use the result of this comparison. So in this case we can use if, and we can use another things, but for the moment we will talk about if. Okay, so if is in C++, the principle is easy. If we have two numbers, for example, number A and number B, we want to compare between these two numbers and use the result. Okay, so what will we do? We do, for example, if A is bigger than B, so print something. We can print something, we can, I don't know, we can do a lot of things. For the moment we will talk about something easy. We will print something. We will print, for example, true. Then if A is less than B, so it is the opposite of our first result. We will repeat it. If A is bigger than B, so we will print something. For example, we will print true. And if A is less than B, so here we have the opposite of our condition. Okay. In this case, we should use the word else, which means if A is bigger than B, print something. Else, we don't need to say if A is less than B. We don't need to use it. We just make A bigger than B, print something. Then we just add else. Else, print something else. For example, print false. Here we know that else is the opposite of if, of if. Okay, so if we have, for example, we have two or more statements that we want to compare between it, what should we do? For example, we can make, if we have just A and B and we want to make it more clear, okay, what should we do? If A is bigger than B, we can print something, okay, as we said. But if what we have now, we have A equal B or A less than B. We have two statements. If I need the result of A equal B, what will I do? So in the first we made if A is bigger than B, print true, for example. Print bigger, for example. If we need A equal to B, what should we do? We will make else if A equal to B, print equal, for example. Now, if we want to add the proposal that we left, for example, A is less than B, we can use else print less, for example. Okay, so we will do some examples as always to make it more clear, so stay with us. So here we are, we have the main program. So if we want to do an if statement, for example, we will declare two variables, for example, int A equal 1, comma B equal 2. Okay, now if we want to compare between the variable A and the variable B, and we want to see which one is bigger than the other, so we will do the if statement. The syntax is like this. If we can open the parentheses, between the parentheses we write our condition. So if, for example, A is bigger than B, we print something, for example, COUT. Between this we have, preferably we will open these two brackets. For a beginning we will always make this bracket. After this we will talk about something else. Now if A is bigger than B, here for example we will print COUT A is bigger than B. Okay, here and line. But if A is less than B, so this condition is false. If A is less than B, this is the case that we have. We have A is less than B, so this condition is false. Then we won't print this one. We have to print A is less than B. So we have to add this condition. For example, we can make this else is, as we said, is the opposite of if. Else, we open the brackets, then we write what we want. COUT A is less than B, then end line. So after our example, we see that A is less than B, so we will print, the program will print A is less than B. We will see, we will debug and see. We have here A is less than B because we have A equal 1 and B equal 2. This is an example of using the if and else statement. But if we want to do two conditions in the same time, for example, we want to see if A is less than B and if A is equal to B, then A is bigger to B, for example. So we can just add it here. If A is bigger than B, we print A is bigger than B. Here we want to see if A is equal to B, so we will write it like this. Else if we just add if because we want to add another condition. Else if A equal to B. Here we made two symbols of equal because we want to compare. In comparison, we can't make just one equal. Okay, we make equal, just equal if we want to give a variable a value. If we want to make a value to a variable, we just made one equal. But here we want to compare between these two numbers or these two variables, so we have to make two equals. Okay, then if else if A equal to B, here we will print COUT A equal, what is this, equal to B, then end line. We will print it out. Always we have A is less than B. If we make here 2, A equal to B equal to, we will have A equal to B. Then if we do B equal 1, for example, we will see this one. Okay, now if we want to make these two conditions in the same line, for example, if we want to see if A is bigger than B and something else, for example, if we have here C equal to 3, for example, if we want to see if A is bigger than B and bigger than C, how can we write it? We'll do it like this. We'll delete this one and this one. So if we want to see if A is bigger than B, we will make here 4. We want to see if A is bigger than B and bigger than C. So here, if A is bigger than B, now we want to see if bigger than C too. So we make two ends and logical and to say that this the first condition and second that we will write it now. And if A is bigger than C, okay, if A is bigger than B, if A is bigger than, we will make this, we have to add this one. We need to write all the condition between parentheses, then inside the parentheses we write our condition. So here we have the main parentheses for the if, then here we have the parentheses of this condition and this condition. Okay, now here we have if A is bigger than B and if A is bigger than C, we can write C out A is the bigger, for example, and line. Okay, then we can just add else, we do else C out, for example, A isn't the bigger, and line. Now we see that A is bigger than B and bigger than C, so we will have in our command window, we will have A is the bigger, like this. Now if we change the A, for example, we make it 2, we will see that here A is not the bigger. Now if we want to do the same thing, but we don't need to have the two conditions, we need just one condition. If A is bigger than B or bigger than C, we don't need it bigger than B and C. So we just need to make here this two symbols. This symbols means if A is bigger than B or A is bigger than C, we will make here, for example, we will let it like this for this example. A is bigger and A is, else A is not bigger. Okay, now we have A equal 1 and A equal 2, B equal 1 and C equal 3. Here we have B is bigger than B, A is bigger than B, but it is not bigger than C, but we will have A is bigger. We will see this. A is bigger. Why? Because we put here or, is if A is bigger than B or A bigger than C. We didn't say and. Okay, so this was the video the video for the if statement, and thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Peace out. Hello everyone. So in this video we will talk about for loops. Okay, so first of all I want to tell you that loops are very important in programming. We will take an example. If we have an array and we want to print it all, as we know in C++ we can't do just COUT, then two brackets, then the name of the array, because it doesn't work, because it is very important to define the index of every item. So if we want to print, for example, the first item, we will do COUT, two brackets, array, square brackets, and the index 0. Then the index 1, 2, 3, etc. But if we have an array with 100 or 1000 items, we won't do for COUT index 0, index 2, index 3, and so on. We can't do this because we can't do 100 line just for printing one array. So for this we need to do for loop. So stay with us. I will show you how can we do this. Then we will do an example to show you how can we stop a loop. So here we have our main program. As we said, we want to print an array. For example, we will take an array with 3 or 4 items. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to declare this array. For example, array 4, then equal, then we will take the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, for example. Now semicolon. Here, if we want to print this array without using loops, we will do like this: COUT, then R0, then end line. Same thing for the others. COUT R1, R2, R3. Now if we will execute this program, we will see we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now if we have, as we said, if we have 100 or 1000 item in this array, we won't do this COUT 1000 time. Okay, this is not professional, so we will delete it. We will do a loop that will take the role of this all COUTs. So the syntax is like this: for, inside the parentheses we have 3 parameters. The first parameter is for initialize our loop. Okay, then we will make a semicolon. Then the second parameter is is the condition to stop our loop. If we want to do a condition to stop our loop, we will make it in the second parameter. Then the third parameter is the increment. If we have a loop, we want it to start from 0 to 10 with increment of 1. So the increment of 1 we will make it here. If we want to make it with the increment of 2, we will make it here, and so on. Now we will make this bracket. Here we will write our program. Before this we will fold this up. Here what we have, we said that we will initialize our loop here. For example, we will make an integer a equal 0. We can make this here outside of the loop, we can declare it here, or we can make just like this. A, here we will make it A equal 0, for example, and here we will make the condition if we have here 4 items in our array. So we want from the loop to take the item 0 to the item 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. So we can write it like this: less than or equal to 3, which means we will take number 0, 1, 2, and 3. Or we can make it just like this: less than 4, which means it won't go to the 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, and stop. It can't be to the number 4. Okay, now here we have the increment. We said that we want the index 0, then the index 1, then the index 2. So we have an increment with 1. So A equal A plus 1. The last value of our increment plus 1. Or we can just write it like this: A plus plus. A plus plus means A equal A plus 1. Then here we will write our COUT. As we said, here in the place of 0, 1, 2, 3, we will make the value that will be incremented by the loop. Okay, we will make the A. Then here we have end line. So in the first value of A, we will have var 0, COUT var 0. Then it will come back to the loop. Then we will have R1, then R2, then R3. Okay, we will see if it works. So here we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then if we want to stop our loop before that it comes to the number 4, for example, we will take another example to make it easy. We will delete all this. If we have a number and we want to calculate the factory of the number, so for example we have int A equals 0. We will make this is the index of our loop. Then we will use it to calculate our loop. Then we will make the intermediate value int b, for example, equals 0 to, we can write it like this: int a equals 0, b equals 0. Okay, so here we have the loop. For loop we make a equals 0. We have to initialize our loop always in the first parameter, so we can just delete this one. Now here we want to calculate the factorial of, for example, factorial of 10. So we will do a is less than 11, or we can make a less than or equal 10. Okay, here we have the incrementation as the increment, as we said, a plus plus. Then we have the brackets. What is this? The brackets. Here what we have, the intermediate value, which is b will take the value of the last element of a plus the next one, which is, here we will make b equal b plus a. For example, for the first one, first loop, we will have here b equal 0, which is here 0 plus 0. Then in the second loop we will have b equal 0 plus, here we will have 1 because we incremented a by 1, so we will have 0 plus 1. Then for the second we will have b equal 1 plus 2. then plus 3 plus 4, etc. So we will have the factorial of our number 11. Sorry, I didn't print it. We'll add COUT B like this. Here we have the factorial of our number. Then if we want that the loop stopped in the number, for example number 30, we don't want it to calculate all the factorial. When it comes to the number 30, it stops. So what can we do? For example, we can make a condition here. If our number, which is b, is less than is bigger than 31, for example, or we can make bigger than or equal 3, we make our stop. We can make it like this, break, or we can just write it here. We don't need to, if we have just one line in the condition, if we have just one line, we don't need to add our brackets. Okay, we can just write it like this. If b is bigger than or equal 30, break, which means stop the loop. We will see if it works or not. So we will print our increment COUT A to see which value of A gives us b equal or bigger than 3. We will see than 30, sorry. So here we have 36. It is the first element that we had bigger than 30. Then we have the number of the increment. We have here 8. We know that our loop starts from 0 to 10, but it stopped in number 8 because we gave it we gave it a break here in the number 30 of B. So this was the video of today. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Peace out. Hi again. In this video we will talk about while loop. It has the same principle as the for loop, just in the syntax we have a condition between the parentheses. Same thing like in English. In English, for example, we say don't turn off the PC while it is doing the update. Here we see that we have two statements. The first one is don't turn off the PC, and the second one is it is doing the update. We can see that we can't do the first statement while the second isn't finished. Don't worry about it, it is very easy. We will do an example to make it more clear, so stay with us. So as we said, here we have the while loop. We are in the main program. So if we have, for example, we have two numbers and we want to compare between this, we will declare it, for example, a equal 1, then comma, b equal 0. We will make it 8, for example. Okay, now I forget the ints. Now we have two numbers a and b. We will take this simple example to know how does it work, the while loop. We have two ways to write it. We will take the first, then we will take the second. For the moment, we have the syntax while, then two parentheses, then the brackets. Here between the parentheses we have to write the condition. In our example, we will increment the number a by 2. In case we have to respect the condition, is we have to a stay always less than b, which means if a is less than b, we will increment it by 1 or 2. But if a is bigger than b, we will stop this loop. Now we will write here between the parentheses our condition, which is while a is less than b, while a is less than b, here we can write whatever we want. So in our example we said that we will increment the a by 2. So a equal a plus 2. A equal a plus 2, as we said. Here we have the last value of a. For example, for the first loop we have here a equal 1 plus 2. Then in second loop we will have a equal 2. The new value of a is 2 plus 3. 2 plus 1 equal 3. So we will have 3 plus 2. So the new value is 5. Then for the next loop we will have a equal 5 plus 2. We will have 7. 7 is always less than 8. So we will have another loop. In the next loop we will have 8 plus we will have 7 plus 2. So it is 9. We will have a equal 9, but the loop will stop here. We will see this. We will print our a to see which value it takes to end line. So we have COUT 9 because 9 is bigger than 8, so our loop stopped here in the value of a equal 9. We can write this simple example with another way, which is do. The keyword do and while. Okay, we will write it like this, do. So we have here do, then while the condition, we will write the condition here. Same thing. Our condition is a is less than b, and here we will write our increment. Sorry. So we have a equal a plus 2. We can write this a equal a plus 2. We can write it just like this. A plus equal 2. A plus equal 2 means a equal a plus 2. Okay, this is the same thing. A plus equal 2 or a equal a plus 2, same thing. So here we have the increment, then the condition. We will have the same thing. We will write our printing COUT a and line semicolon. So here we have our 9. It had the same thing, just it was written by another way. So that was the video of today. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Peace out. Hi everyone. So today we will do some we will start some object-oriented programming. So for this video we will talk about functions in C++. First of all, I want to tell you that the functions, we have to declare the functions outside our main program. Then I will tell you that functions are like variables in syntax, of course. They have the type, then the name. After that we have the declaration of our function. The functions are in two types. The first type is functions with parameters, and there is functions without parameters. So in functions, I want to tell you that every function has to return something. It depends to the type of this function. Just for the functions with the type void, it returns nothing. So don't worry about it. We will do an example as always to make it more clear. So stay with us. So as we said, we'll take an example for how to use functions. We'll take a simple example for the moment. So we have, for example, if we have a number, we want from this function to take this number, then multiply it by 2 or 3 or something like this, then return it. Then we will use this number, this new number. So we will, as we said, a function is defined by the type. So we take the type as integer to make it easy. So integer, we will make it for function, for example. This is the name of our function. Then we need the parentheses, then the brackets. So this is the syntax of a function. So as we said, there is functions with parameters and there is functions without parameters. Here between the parentheses, we write our parameters. So if we want to make a function with parameters, we write the parameters here between the parentheses. Else, if we don't want to use it, we don't use it. We will let it like this, empty. Okay. So as we said, we will have a number. We will take this function will take a number, then it will multiply it by 2 or by 3, then return it. So this number that we want to multiply it, we will take it like a parameter. So we will take it like here, like this, integer a or integer number. Then this number we will multiply it by 3 or by 2. So for the moment, as a beginner, I will tell you, we will declare, for example, another variable int, for example, new is reserved, new n, for example, for new number, then semicolon. Then we will take this number, new number, we'll take the value that we put it in parameters, which is number, then we will multiply it by 2, for example. Then we want to return this new number, so we will make return new number. Okay, so this function will take this number, then it will multiply it by 2, then return it. So if we want to try it, we'll make like this. For example, we can declare here int for number equal 5, for example. Then to call this function, we just need to write the name of this function, fun, sorry. Then the parentheses. If we have parameters, we need to enter something in the parameter. If we don't have, we don't need to make it. So here we will give the parameters as our number 5. So we will make number. Then like this, we just call the function, but we won't see anything because we didn't print it or something like this. But it works. Now we will just make our printing function, for example, COUT, then our, what is this, COUT, then function, then the number, then and line. Sorry. So like this, we will print function which is number 5 multiplied by 2, so we will have 10. Okay, please. So if we want to make it more professional, we will take this off. For example, we can take this off, then we write here Ctrl+X equal this. We declare the number, then we multiply our number by 2, then we return it. Or we can write it in one line. We can delete all this. We will take this X, then we will take off all this, then we will write it like this. We don't need this. We will return the number multiplied by 2, like this. We don't need anything else. Then here we don't need to declare it. For example, we can just write here the number 5, because we know that the number 5 is integer, so we don't need to declare it. Then we use it. We make it in the parameters, and it will work with it. So this was an example for the functions. We can add another function. For example, for printing, we don't need something to, we don't need to return something, so we can, we give it the type void, which means empty, it will return nothing. So void, we will make it, for example, the name, sorry, print. Then if we want to print something, we will make here in parameter, for example, int a, it doesn't matter. Then the brackets, here we will make the COUT, then the brackets, then a, then and line and semicolon. So here if we write our here we don't need to make COUT then the function, because our function is using COUT inside, so we don't need to use COUT. We just call it and it will work, it will do the work, sorry. So print, for example, here we will make our number 5, then semicolon. We will see that we will have 10 because we have 5 multiplied by 2, so we will have 10. Then we will have our 5 here. We will see it. So this is our 10, then this is our 5. So that was an example for how to use functions. There is a lot of examples to use functions. So this is the principle. We need to do our type, then the name, then parentheses, then the parameters if we need it, then the return. The return depends to the type of our function. If we have here integer, we have to return something integer. If we have here string, we have to return something string, etc. So this was the video of today, and I see you in the next video, and thanks for watching. Peace out. Hi again. In this video we'll talk about structures in C++. First of all, I want to tell you that structures are very useful in programming. You will tell me why they are very useful. For example, I will give you an example. If we have a program that works with, if we need a program which works with a point, with a 2D point or complex number or something like this, we don't have variable that have this type, so we can't declare a type with complex or with point, 2D point, etc. We have a lot of millions of examples for this. So, but we need this program. We need this point with this 2D point, or with we need this complex number or something like this. So what can we do? Don't worry about it. They give us a solution for this. So why won't we create our own type with our own functions? You will tell me, is that possible? Can we do this? Yes, dude, we can do this. So we can create our own type, as we have type integer with his own functions. We can create our own type with our own functions. We can work with it. So stay with us. I will give you an example as always to make it more clear. So as we said, we will do an example of structures. We will take the 2D point example for this video. So as we said, we have to write syntax. So in Visual Studio we have just to write struct, then we will find it ready for us. Then here we will just write the name of our structure or our object. In structures or in classes, if we create our own type, we call it an object. Okay, so we will call it, for example, point. Here we have a semicolon at the end of our structures, which means that it is a variable. Okay, not really a variable, but just like a variable, we call it an object. So here, as we said, 2D point has two axes, the axis x and the axis y. So the x and y, we will declare it as an integers. So we have int x comma y. Okay, then here we have two variables, which mean two axes, the axis x and the axis y. Then, for example, we will do a function that will print our our x and y. As we said, for printing something, we don't function. If we want to use a function to print something, we don't need a type for this function, so we will make it void. For printing, we don't need an integer or something like this, so we will make it void. Then we will call it print, for example. Then the parentheses. We don't need parameters for this function because we have already x and y in our structure. Okay, then here we will make COUT, then two brackets, then the x. We'll make it more clean here. For example, we will make this, sorry, this, then our x, then comma, then y, then we close the parentheses, then and line. So here we will print our point. So if we use the function print, we will print our point, the x and the y. Okay, so here, for example, to use, as we said, after if we want to declare an integer, we will make integer a equal 0 or something. Okay, but here in structures we will make it the same thing, but we have to write the name of our structure, our structure. So point, then we will give it p, for example, the name, then we make semicolon. Here, if we want to give the x of our point or the y of our point a value, we have just, if we will take it from here, for example, if we have integer a, if we want to give this a value, what should we do? A equal, for example, 2. Here we have given the variable a the value 2. The same thing for the object or for the structures. We'll make, for example, p point, we make p point x equal, then p point y equal. So if we make this p point x, sorry, we will give the value of x. For example, we give it 2, then semicolon. And here, if we want to give this point, we will give the y of this point a value. We will make it like this, p point y, then we will give it the value 6 for example. Then here, as we said, if we want to call a variable or a function of this structure, we have just to write the name of our object, for example, p, then point, then the value, the variable or the function or something like this. So here, if we want to print our point, then we will call the function that will do this work. So the function of our structures, we have created this function, which is print. So we will do just like this, p point print. Then it is a function. If we call a function, we have always to add the parentheses. However, we have parameters, or we don't have, we have to add these parentheses to say that this is a function. Then if we debug our program, we will see our point x and y, which is here 2 and 6, as you see. So this was an example. We can make more cool things. We can make a function that calculate the distance between 2 points, or we can do a lot of things. This was just an example to give you an idea how to use or how it works, the structures. If you have questions, you can ask it by email or something like this. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Peace out. Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about classes in C++. So the principle is easy. The classes are like structures in principle, but classes are more powerful and more secured than structures. So the classes has 3 parts: public, private, and protected. The protected part is for the heritage. We will talk about it later. Then if we write the whole program in the public part, So we are working just like structures, there is no difference. But the feature of the classes is when we write or when we declare our variable in the private part. When we declare our variable in the private part, we can't, we don't have the access of this variable outside the class. So to have the access, we have to write functions in public parts, then we change the functions. Like this, we can change our variables or something like this. There is a lot of things that we can talk about about function, about classes, but in this video we'll do just an introduction, so stay with us. So as we said, we will take just an introduction about classes. We won't talk about all what we have, for example, constructors and destructors and getters, setters. There is a lot of things that we can talk about it all. We can't just talk about all this in one video. So we will take just an introduction, how to create a class, how to give it a name, or how to create something in public or in private, just this for this video. So for example, in Visual Studio, to create a class there is two things. We can just create the class here with the main program. For example, we write class, then we will write class, then we will find it here ready for us. We'll just rename it. For example, we give it the name point as we do in the structures. So here we have, this is the class, okay, then the name of this class, then the parts public, private. We don't have here protected, but we can add it here. Just we write protected, there it is. Then we can write our things here for the protected part, but we don't need it for the moment. So here we have the definition of our function of the constructors, and here we have the destructor. Then okay, here we have the main program. So we can write it like this, or we can, I don't prefer this thing, because preferably we have to write it outside our file here, our class CPP, because if we want to share this class, for example, or something like this, we will write it in external file. Then I will show you. I will delete all this for the moment. So we can just here we click with the right button. Then here this software is in French, but you will find here add, then class, add a class. Here we will write the name of the class, for example, point. Then here we have the the class name point H, which means the header, then the CPP. Okay, I will show you how can we use it. Here we have the point H, which means the header, then here we have the CPP. In this file we have just to define our variables or our functions, but just the header of the function. For example, if we want to use a function to print something, we can make it as we said, for example, void print, then the parentheses, then the semicolon. In this file, the header, which means the header, we don't need to we don't define our function. We just give the name of this function. Then the definition of every function, we will find it here in the name. For example, point CPP. Here we will give the definition. For example, the function that we added now, point two colons. If we want to define a function of a class or an object of a class or a variable, for example, outside the class, we have to write the name of the class, which is point, then two colons, then it will show you what we have, for example, but it will show you just the variables or the functions which are in the public part. If we have something in the private, we can't use it. Okay, so here we have the function print, then the parentheses, then the brackets, and here we can write whatever we want. Okay, so I forget something. We have to write the type name. Then, for example, for this function here, for the constructor, the constructor, it doesn't have a type, so we don't need to write it here. But for the other functions, we have to write the type, then the name of the class, then two columns, then the name of the function, and here we have the definition. Okay, here in the point CPP. So here, if we want to use or to call this function, we have to just write hashtag, then include, then the square, then the name of our function, which is for our example point. Okay, here we can define an object with the name point, which is the class point. So for example, point P semicolon. Okay, here we can add our function, our variables, or something like this. We can write it, for example, here in private, then int x y semicolon. Here we have, like as we do in structures, we have an x and x y. Then, for example, we will try this here. If we want, for example, to change the value of the x of p, for example, if we write p point, we don't, as we see, we don't have the axis of x or y because they are in private. Here we have the axis just for the functions or objects or variables which are in the public. So if we want to write it, for example, p point x equal 0, for example, we will have an error. We will see it now. So declare impossible. We will see here impossible. This is in French, but it means in English we can't use this this point p point x because it is private member. So we declare it as a private, so we can't write it here. We will see if we will change this place here. If we will write, for example, just int y, here in public we will write int x. So here we won't have problems because x is in public, as we say, just like structures. Here we have our window. Okay, so this was an introduction about classes in C++. We will do the constructors and the operators and the setters and getters in another videos. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video. Peace out. Hello everyone. Today we will talk about constructors, setters and getters in C++. So to start with, we will start with constructors. I want to tell you that there is two types of constructors. There is constructors by default and constructors with parameters. The constructors are like the functions. As we said, in functions there is two types: functions with parameters and functions without parameters. In constructors it is the same thing. So the constructor is a function that will be created or will be executed in every creation of our objects. I am talking about the constructor by default. The constructor by default is executed in every, or called in every creation of our function, of our object, sorry. Then there is the other type of constructor. We'll talk about now. We will start by default, then we talk about the other. So here we have, this is the writing of the function of the constructor. It has just the name of our class. here we have the class point, so this constructor will have the name point. It doesn't have the types because it returns nothing. It doesn't have the types. So here in CPP we have, this is the creation of this function. As we said, this function will just give, we just initialize our members, so which means we will give x and y a value. It doesn't matter what is this value, but just to make a place in the memory. So we will give it, for example, here x equal 0 and y equal 0. We can write it here, or we can write it here, x parenthesis 0, then comma y parenthesis 0. It is the same thing. Then we will delete this one because we don't need it. We just need one of them. Then, as we said, here we have x and y. If we create an object here, for example, point P, without giving any value or something, if we print this point, we will see that the x and y of this point equal to 0. We will see P point print. What is this? Point print. Then we will see that we will have 0 and 0. There is a problem. No, what is this problem? P point print. Sorry, we will see where is the problem here. X and y. We have point x, y. What is the problem? Ah, sorry. I delete the brackets without seeing this. So here we have 0 and 0. If we change these values inside the function, for example, here we'll give it 5, or I don't know, we will see that x will have 5 in the creation. The same thing, there is the other type of constructors, which is with parameters, that we will, in every creation of our object, the user can give a new value to this object. So as we said, it is like as a function. So we will declare it here, point. Then here we will give the parameters. As we said, we have two members, x and y, so we will give two parameters, a and b, for example, a for x and b for y. Then here, where is it? Here. So here we will give the value of a to our member x, and the value of b to our member y. So x equal a, then y equal b, or we can write it like this. It is the same thing. Okay. So in this case, here we can, in the creation of our object, for example, point 1, here we can give the value, for example, 2, comma 3, then semicolon. If we will print this point, we will see that it has the value 2 and 3. Okay, here we have 5, 0, and so if we will create another point, for example, just here we want to make another line, for example, P2, here 5, 8, I don't know. If we print it, P2 point print, so we will see that it has 5 and 8. Okay, so that was for the constructors. Then after that we will talk about setters and getters to make it more clear to how to use, change, and print the values of the class. So we will talk about getters now. So here we have the getters. The getters, the name get, which means bring this value for me, for example. So if we want to bring, we can't bring all the points. We will bring member by member. For example, we have x and y. We will bring x and bring y. The setters or the getters are just functions like any function in the programmation, but these functions are declared and defined inside the class. Then we use it outside the class so that we can enter to the members. Okay, because if we are in the main program and we want to change or we want to use the x, we want to use it for something I don't know, anybody can use it or something like this. So for this we have to do something to help us that we can bring this x. So as we said, the getters and setters are the functions. So we will start by getters. This as we said, we will do a function that will bring x and another function that will bring y. So x, as we said, we will bring it, which means it will return it. If we say return it, so the type of this function will take the type of the variable that we will return. And as we will return x, which means x, it has the type integer, so we will give the function integer get x. We called it get x, or we can call it as we want, because it is just a function like the others. It doesn't have parameters. Sorry, it doesn't have parameters because because we won't change something or something. We will just bring the value of x. The same thing for the y, get y, then parentheses, semicolon. So we'll give the definition of this one, then this one. To give the automatically the definition, we just need to press control then semicolon, control then semicolon. We will have the definition here in the CPP. So as we said, this function will return x, so we just write x, which means it will return our x, and for this one return y. Or we can write return this like this x. We write it like this x and this y, this x and this y, but in this time we will just make it return x and return y to make it easy. So in this function, if we want, for example, to use the x of the point 2, which is 5, we will make it just like this. For example, we'll give it the value, I don't know, int a equal p2 point, because if we want to call any function of the class, we will just make point p2 point, the name of the function. We will take the x, so x, then here the parentheses, then semicolon. Then if we want to print it, for example, we can print it COUT a. As we see, we will have the value 5 here of a, like this. We could do this just like this. For example, if we won't use it, just we want to print it or to see it, or I don't know, we can just write like this, COUT p2, because p2 point get x, it is an integer, so we will print it directly here. So this is the getters. If we want to talk about setters, if we use setters if we want to change the value of x or the value of y. So in this case, this functions setters doesn't have the return, so which means it doesn't have a type, which means that they have the type void. Void, for example, set x, but this function has the parameters, because if the user want to change the value of x or y, he has to give the new value that he want to change. So here we'll give, for example, int a, which will take the value of x. Then the same thing for the y, set y. As we said, we can change this name. We shouldn't make set x, set y, get x, get y. We can change it as we want. So here we can make int. If you see, we have put here int a, here int a, but it doesn't matter, because as we said, if we define value inside a loop or inside a function, which means inside a block of something, function or something, this variable is not defined outside this class, which means we can use the name of this variable outside the class. Okay, it doesn't make a problems. Then we will give the definition, as we said, control semicolon, then enter. Same thing here. Okay, here as we said, the x will equal the value of a, then here we have the y will equal the value of a, same thing. So we will try it out here. We'll define, we won't define, we will just make here p2 point get set x, for example. We will give it the value 0, then semicolon. If we will print the x of p2, it was 5. Now we must to find it 0 to see if our function works or not. So as we see here, we have the value 0 because we changed it by the setter. So that was the video for the setters and getters and constructors. Stay with us and we will give you another examples and another lessons. So thank you for watching, and I see you in next video. Peace.